Céad Míle Fáilte. And this is a response to a tag that I received yesterday. Now, normally the videos I record are way ahead. In fact, I've already banked up videos into April, late April, and this is February. But this one I think demanded a quicker response. And it's because I got tagged by Philip Hall of A Poet Reads to Write. And the tag that he set up or generated is the 2025 Celtophile Readathon, which comes from Nicole of Nicole's Bookish Nook. And she, I think the day before, announced the 2025 Celtophile Readathon. And she said in a video, it's short notice admittedly, because she just moved. And it's throughout March. And there are prompts to promote and raise awareness of more Celtic authors and literature. And of course the Irish are very much already cornered that market. You could include the Isle of Man, Wales, Cornwall, even Brythonic speakers in Brittany, and so on. And I thought this is a very worthy thing. And although it's been generated as a tag or come readathon, there's no way, unfortunately, I could get involved throughout March because I just don't read that quick. But I am very much behind we should raise awareness of more Celtic-themed literature, very much so. I've already started doing that, which I'm going to talk about a book in a moment. There are 7 prompts, and it's very interesting when I've gone through them. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to say. The first one is read a book with a green, white or orange cover. It's greenish. Look, there's green here. Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift, Irish author. Wonderful artwork in this one. It's one of the greatest satires ever written, and it required an Irish-born playwright and author who was slightly to one side from the people he was poking fun at, which was the British court. And you could read it on the level, the surface level, that a guy goes on a ship and he comes to Lilliput and all these little people and they're having wars over an egg. It's much more deeper than that. So that's definitely one that I will be reading throughout the year. And I got it from a thrift shop and I have no idea what that stain is. It came with the book. Number 2, read a book written by Morgan Llewelyn. Now this is interesting because I've never read any from Morgan Llewelyn, and I have to say I've never even heard of her until this readathon was announced. I believe she is American born and she took up Irish citizenship. She moved to Ireland. She's 87 now and she's written a lot of books that are connected with Ireland. So I can see why she was chosen. There's one specific book that I will potentially read, and it's Grania, She-King of the Irish Seas. And that's because one of the videos that will come up shortly on this channel is about Grace O'Malley, Grania, the she-queen, or the she-pirate of Ireland. Grania ní Mhaile was her proper name. Yes, I will definitely look up the book Morgan Llewelyn. I'm going to have to order it. But definitely, as soon as I saw her list of books and I saw that, count me in. And what a wonderful story she has. There is no book in New Zealand at the moment, and it's quite expensive. It looks like there's not many copies around, so I'm going to hunt that one down, probably do it later in the year. Prompt 3. Read a book written by a native-born Celtic writer. It specifically says book, and I've already done one episode, and it's Anam Cara. The Spiritual Wisdom from the Celtic World, John O'Donoghue. Wonderful book. Definitely worth a ton of praise. But as you can see, I'm making notes towards the second episode. A spirituality of the senses. And native-born Celtic, absolutely wonderful. And he talks a lot about mythology. He talks about the ancient Celtic reverence for the spirit in all things. So gives you a real good flavour of Celtic life. That's prompt 3. 4. Read a fiction or non-fiction book about Ireland. I'm going to slightly change this one because the theme is obviously Celt. And it's not necessarily Ireland, it could be Wales. And the author I'm going to do is a Welsh-born Scottish poet, Eric Robert Russell Linklater, Poet's Pub, comedy. And it's about a pub. I think it's actually set in England, however, but he's got the Celtic flavour about him. So that's definitely going to be a fiction book I'm going to read. Really going to enjoy that one. It's actually part of the selection of 10, the original 10 books done by Penguin. I've done Ariel already. I'm actually about a third of the way through A Farewell to Arms, which is another one, and will now be the third one. And that will be definitely one I'll read this year. 5. Read a Celtic fantasy novel. I don't have this book. It's Marion Zimmer Bradley's Mists of Avalon. The author is American, but the actual series of books is Arthurian, so it's Cornish, Uther Pendragon and all that, and it's about Morgane, the priestess of Avalon, Arthur's king's sister, and it's about that era and time. It'll be a really fascinating one to reread. I read it, or I tried to read it in the 90s, didn't get into it. I'm definitely wanting to read that one. 6. Read a fiction, non-fiction book about Celtic myths, legends or tales. I'm going to cheat here. This book will do that. But also what's in here, the Norton Anthology of English Literature. Because a lot of the initial works here are Celtic. They come from the Celtic tradition. They'll say Anglo-Norman, but there's a lot of Welsh. Geoffrey of Monmouth, for instance. So the Dream of the Rood, which I've already covered, is 8th century, probably Scottish. We don't know necessarily where a lot of the works come from, but for instance, The Wife's Lament could potentially be of the Celtic tradition. But there's one here, it's called Cuchulain's Boyhood Deeds. And I don't know if I've pronounced his name right. Cuchulain. And that's definitely Irish. So I will look at doing an episode on that. There are other things that I'm currently doing and will do into the future. So one of the great Irish authors is Oscar Wilde. And I'm currently reading through The Picture of Dorian Gray. He's going to be on the list. And then I've got these here. And there's Irish poets in here. W.B. Yeats, for instance, is one who I will do. But with these, I'm going to render them as similar to what I did with The Wife's Lament. You'll hear me speaking, and then I'll do images to what, in this case, is a poem. So, for instance, When You Are Old by W.B. Yeats. When you are old and grey and full of sleep, and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read, and dream of the soft look your eyes had once, and of their shadows deep. Definitely will be doing that. Fantastic. And again, these beautifully illustrated. So I'm very much behind this as an endeavour, not just for myself throughout March, as I just said. It's going to be throughout and possibly into 2026 because of the speed in which I read. So it's a wonderful idea, Nicole, and thank you, Philip, for tagging me and making me aware of it. Well, I was actually aware of it because I'd kind of listened to Nicole talk about it, but I hadn't twigged that it was upcoming. So it's a great idea, and count me in, but obviously I won't be there necessarily in March and throughout. I'll try and be as much as possible, but I will be in the background looking on from a distance. So, Slán go fóill.